Hello everyone, welcome to a video about playing dim arpeggios on major chords, which is a weird thing to think about because normally you would say, well, that doesn't really work, that doesn't fit, that would sound very dissonant. But I promise that after you hear me demonstrate it and explain it, you can probably use it yourself. Let's go. So for this video, I'm going back to an older format. Right, I was making lots of videos really produced in the sense that I had this elaborate tab of a complete solo or a couple of licks, and I would demonstrate them slow, fast, with tab on screen. But this video is more free-flowing. It's going back to the previous style I was doing. It's basically a live stream, a setup with two cameras, one full screen and one is a close-up of my guitar. And then during editing, I will make it more smooth. I will take out mistakes I'm making while I'm talking. And I will tap out some of the things I'm talking about, but it's not the point of learning licks for this video, it's more the principle. So we're talking about dim chords, and just to let you know, I've made several other videos about dim chords. I will link them, one just giving a basic overview of how to play them on the guitar, and one talking about the dim scale. I will link them, but this video is specifically about a sound that I use quite a lot myself. It's a sound that it's pretty common to jazz, but some people never use it or they don't think about it. And that's about playing a dim arpeggio on a major chord. So let's say we're in the key of D. I'm gonna play a D diminished arpeggio on top of this chord. Now, of course, all these notes, they don't really seem to fit, except for the D itself, right? D, F doesn't really fit, A flat doesn't fit. So the B fits, that would be the sixth of the D major chord. But those two weird notes, the minor third and the flat five, they don't really fit. But what you're trying to do is you're trying to play a sound that creates tension on that major chord and resolves. What you're basically doing is this. So the chord is D, you're just playing this sound to resolve to D. But you're doing it all on that one chord. So you get something like, so I resolve, or right, I resolve. So you need time, of course, to resolve, so that one chord needs to last longer than a bar. But what you could do is, in the 2-5-1, you could start that dim arpeggio before the one chord hits. So you would play it on an A7. So you're playing a D diminished on top of that A chord going into the D chord. And you don't have to be precise about it. You could just start somewhere. And that diminished chord will sound odd, but it is also a very appealing sound, very attractive sound, if you are able to resolve it. So for this video, what I want to do is I want to play 3 solos on 3 different songs and see if I can make it happen and explain a little bit what I'm thinking. And maybe I will make more videos transcribing parts of the solo or the complete solo, and I can make a video in the new style, more produced, more tap. Before we do that though, let me show you what I mean by diminished arpeggios. So I'm going to start with the song Coquette, which is in D. So then I could be playing a D diminished arpeggio, just like I was just playing. And normally I play that like this. I will tap that for my patrons. More about that later. Or I would start with my 3rd finger and play it like this. I would start on the low E string. Or with my 3rd finger. So I would always start those arpeggios on the low E string or A string, and it's always ascending. But you could play them descending, but normally I play it ascending. Now it's a dim chord, so you don't have to think about D diminished. You could think about any of the 4 diminished chords or 3 diminished chords that are the same as D diminished, which is F diminished, A flat diminished, and B diminished. So all the notes in the chord, I could start on any of them. So I could start on A flat, or on the B, or F diminished. It's the same diminished chord, the starting note doesn't really matter. So I'm going to start with Coquette, which is in D. So I'll be playing that D diminished. What I also like to do is start on a note that is not part of the diminished arpeggio, and that is a C sharp or a D flat. So it's a half step below the root of the main key. So I play this D flat and continue with an F diminished. Sounds like this. Or from the low E string. So that would always start my second finger on one of those two strings, and I would just play the diminished arpeggio going straight up. I will also tap that out. So I can use that in Coquette. In the bridge, we go to the key of G with a 2-5-1 to G. And I will try to play a G diminished arpeggio. Right? Or B flat diminished arpeggio. Or C sharp or E. And I could also play that thing where I start a half step below the root. So I would start on an F sharp. And then continue with a B flat diminished arpeggio. Now, of course, I don't have as much time to do that in the bridge as I do in the A parts, because the G only has 2 bars. But I could try to play some quick licks there. I could also use it on the turnaround, right? So you have the chords of Coquette are going D, and then a 2-5, back to the 2-5, 1 turnaround. On the turnaround, I could just ignore it and play that diminished chord again. Now, what I'm going to do during editing, I'm going to put some text in the image. I will overlay it, and I will make the text yellow every time I play the diminished sound, and you can hear what it sounds like. So here is Coquette. So I hope you heard that peculiar sound of that diminished arpeggio on top of either the 5 chord or the 1 chord. Now, of course, I'm playing other diminished arpeggios as well, but it's not the same principle. For instance, if I would play a diminished arpeggio on A7, just one that fits on A7, I would play B flat diminished arpeggio or C sharp, right? So that is not the same principle. That is playing an actual diminished arpeggio that fits on the chord. And it's a different sound. So I'm combining both of them. But if you think about it, if I on A7 would play B flat diminished, then on D I could play a B diminished. So you get 2 diminished arpeggios in a row. So it would sound like this. And I have to resolve it. So you could practice that as well, playing those 2 diminished arpeggios in a row. I haven't really done that, I think, in that demonstration. I'm not used to it. I would practice it and see if that works. So the next song I want to try this with is much faster. It's China Boy. It's the key of F. And China Boy, by the way, all these backing tracks are on my channel. I will link them. China Boy is just a bunch of dominant chords in a row. It starts with 6 bars of F. So on that F chord, I could play F diminished, A flat diminished, B diminished, D diminished. And then we get dominants. So D7, G7. On top of those dominants, again, I could play the regular diminished arpeggios. I will probably do it. It's part of the vocabulary of a gypsy jazz guitar player. On D7, I will be probably playing F sharp diminished. And on G7, I could play B diminished. I'm not gonna only play diminished, I also play other licks, but I won't make the text yellow if I play the regular diminished arpeggio. only when I play it on top of the 1 chord, or if I'm playing it on top of the 5 chord, but it's the 1 that goes with the 1 chord. So in this case, on F would be F diminished, and the bridge is, it's basically all A flat 6, E flat 7. I can play A flat diminished, which is the same chord. F diminished, A flat diminished, it's the same chord, but I have to resolve it differently, because in the A part I have to resolve to F chord. And the bridge I have to resolve it to an A flat. You will probably hear it when it happens, and watch the text. It will turn to yellow whenever I use this principle. Here we go. So this song was way faster, and it requires more of your brain power to think about this, but I am not relying on that. I'm just, because I've practiced it, I'm relying more on muscle memory, right? I have all those diminished arpeggios in my fingers, and I have the resolutions already in my fingers. I just have to think about doing it, and that's the thing. Often you forget that this is a possibility. Now, you shouldn't use it too much. I was using it too much because I'm trying to demonstrate it. But if you do it maybe once or twice in the solo, it's a really cool effect. The final song I want to try it with is Honeysuckle Rose, which is, we go back to a medium tempo. And now I have lots of time to do it. Because the A part, it is 4 bars of C7. You can play G minor 7, C7, 2, 5, like alternating. But I'm thinking C7 the whole time. So I can play on that 5 chord, going to the 1 chord F, I can play an A flat diminished arpeggio. Now I wouldn't be playing an A flat diminished arpeggio for the full duration of that 4 bars C7 because it needs to resolve to F. So I would play it somewhere near the end of the 4 bars so I can make a resolution. And the bridge goes to a 2-5 in B flat. So then I can play B flat diminished. And again, I could be thinking about A, like a half step down, and then play C sharp diminished right after it. And resolve it to B flat. So let's try a solo, let's see what happens, and I'll see you right after. So that was Honeysuckle Rose, and I hope you heard that this sounds really cool. It sounds special just because you don't hear it that often. Now, if you go listen to Django and even Capelli, they do this from time to time. And Django likes to employ it on rhythm changes. So if you have rhythm changes in the key of D, like Daphne, well, let's do rhythm changes in the key of B flat, because that's the regular key, right? It's all turnarounds. And then it's all turnarounds or kind of 5-1 sounding progressions. So you could be playing B flat diminished on top of the whole A part. I'm not going to demonstrate it, maybe for another video, but I would say try this out yourself. I will make tabs of the things I talked about for my patrons. If you want to download those tabs, you can download them from patreon.com. If you join there for the €5 tier, I will make these tabs available. But also check out the previous videos to get more information about diminished chords. And I will make a follow-up video talking about the solos I played, or maybe I will make a video talking about using this principle, but now with a diminished scale, which is also possible. Let me stew on that, and I will see you in that video, or maybe in the next video where I will continue with my series on playing licks of the Grandmasters on minor string. Go check out that series as well. I put a link to the first episode in the description. Thank you for watching. If you like my videos, or if you like this video, please give it a like. Subscribe. I know everybody says that, but the thing is, if when I look at my statistics, over 70% of the people that watch my videos are actually not subscribed. So it doesn't cost you anything. Just hit that subscribe button, maybe ring the bell to get notified. It really helps my channel to appear more in the YouTube algorithm for other people that want to learn these amazing licks or those great principles. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video. Bye.